Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Get connected, Fitchburg. We're launching Fitchburg Connect, the city's new monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Roll call. Okay, so 4:02, I guess, or 4:03. We're starting the meeting, and I'll go through the roll call. First, interim chair, Amy Johanning, here. Alder Micah Ladoza. Here. Adam Guile. Here. Shelley Malowski. Here. And George Froman. Here. And members with excuse are Chair Mark Jones and Vice Chair Roger Cohey.
Thank you, Deanna. I'd like to call to order the April 21st, 2026 Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee meeting. The first item is the approval of minutes for the March 17th, 2026 meeting. Do I have approval?
I'll make a motion for approval of minutes.
We have an approval. Second?
I'll second that.
Motion passes. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, public appearances for non-agenda items. I'm not seeing anyone in the room. Anyone on Zoom?
No one's on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to the agenda review. Deanna, please.
Tonight, we're just going to review 2 ordinances. Both of these you've seen last month. No major changes. The first ordinance is for a zoning amendment to rezone a small number of parcels in order to maintain consistency with our farmland preservation map. I will turn over the details to Brad. And then the second ordinance is updates to the exclusive ag zoning, but also some minor updates to our small ag zoning districts.
All right, thank you, Deanna. So we'll move on to agenda item 5A, which is ordinance 2026-0-07, zoning ordinance amendment approving rezoning properties to conform to the adopted farmland preservation plan and map. Brad?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're bringing this back to you last meeting. We had talked about. We brought a preliminary rezoning map just showing which parcels we were proposing for rezone. So now, in the packet, we've got 13 parcels here. And the map included in the package shows which zoning district we're proposing to zone them to. I think it was 8. We're proposing to go from exclusive agriculture to RL, low density residential. Those are all within the Greenfield FUDA. And 4 of those properties, so half of them, are owned by the city of Fitchburg. They're all, in that area along the Curry Court, South Sain Road area. In that same area, there are 3 that are larger lots that are proposed to go to rural residential. And then, it's those light yellow ones there. And then there's one other property off of M, right there, that's proposed to go to rural residential. And then the remaining parcels, so what is that? Let's see, about 6, I think, 6, are proposed to go from exclusive ag to transitional ag. And the transitional ag district has the same dimensional standards, requirements and everything as the exclusive ag zoning district. It's just our non-certified district, so.
So they don't get the farmland credit, right?
Yes.
So, making these changes, would bring it, would bring our farmland preservation area map and our AX zoning district, mostly into, conformity. There are, I think, 2 parcels that are currently in a farmland preservation area that are not zoned, that are zoned residential that we plan to remove when the county does their next update. So those are already zoned appropriately, but they're still in the farmland preservation area, so we just need to remove them. But, yeah, I think that sums it up. Are there any, and I guess, I think
Yeah.
Deanna shared, the Bowman Farms, letter with you, so, we can discuss that in more detail if desired. I think there's some precedent here for going either way on this, so.
So the Bowman parcels are up here. They're actually in the McGaw neighborhood plan. They've been there for probably well over 10 years. And those were taken out of farmland preservation probably in 2023.
Yep.
And at the time, there was discussion that development was gonna move forward. And when we were updating the farmland preservation map at that time, if there's expected development within the next few years, it needs to come off of the farmland preservation map. That's the official map.
Yeah.
Was the zoning change in 2023 at Bowman's request?
There is a
Zoning didn't
zoning
change.
change.
It's still zoned.
The future
exclusive
land
ag.
use.
Yeah.
It was just not in the farmland preservation program at that
They
time.
took
was
it
taken
out
of that.
from, okay,
Yeah, so it's,
by Bowman.
No, we took it out of farmland
Because it's
preservation,
ineligible.
because, yes,
Yeah.
because we believed that it was going to develop right away, or very soon in the next few years, because it is in the McGaw neighborhood plan. So that was the thinking at the time. Now, per this letter, Andy Bowman is rethinking some of that and is interested in continuing with agriculture on these lands. So
So did he object in 2023?
No.
So this, okay, so this is changing his mind.
he's not, they're clearly not using the tax credits because they wouldn't have not been able to do it.
Yeah,
so essentially that this proposed rezoning, besides the farmland preservation program tax credits, it has no impact on the use of the property. The threshold for the Dane County Farmland Preservation Plan to be included in that is 20 years. It can't be expected to develop for 20 years. So,
Is Mr. Bowman on board with that?
according to the letter, I would say that
That he
they say no
prefers to-
foreseeable future
Okay.
development, so
Okay.
it's,
Is it realistic to grant his wish of having his property be zoned AX and the remainder of the properties go to the AT? Is that acceptable?
well, that's what we're proposing.
Yeah,
What
so
he
he-
wants,
He wants these to stay AX.
yeah,
Great.
But
That's what I
his
understood.
southern parcels, so these are 440s that the Bowman family owns. And the southern 2 are right here on Irish, and they're not in a neighborhood plan, they're not in McGaw.
right.
And so they remain in AX and they remain designated on the map as farmland preservation. Right now, our current farmland preservation map does not have the 2 northern parcels because back in 2023, we took them out.
Mhm.
So if these were going to stay AX, we can try to work with the county in order to put them back into farmland preservation is what
Yeah.
But I
We'll
guess
have to get a new farmland preservation map.
we'll have to
approved by
update the
council
farmland
then.
preservation map in the fall.
So does this affect the city in any way if we turned it back to AX?
Not really.
Not just, not beyond the extra steps that we have to do in order to
Not other
continue
than
the
the staff time.
certification, yeah.
And if in 5 years he changes his mind and says he wants to develop, we just go through the process again that we did take it.
Yeah, we would be taking them back out.
Does go ahead.
No effect on his taxation on that land then,
No.
just to be clear.
Well, he'd be able to get the credits if it went
Yeah,
to
he would
AX.
be eligible for the credits, but they're not taking, obviously, they're not
Right.
taking.
But he
Well, they're
could.
not taking them because they're not eligible for them, but they.
Right.
I don't know, I mean, some
Presumably
people don't, I mean, not
in
all
order
the
to-
farmers do it.
Yeah, you have to have like a management plan on file with the county, so there are extra steps in order for the actual landowner to be, or farmer to be eligible to do it. So as far as we know, there are very few in Fitchburg that are actually participating in the program. So the AX zoning is a prerequisite to be eligible, but it doesn't by itself create the eligibility for it. I would imagine that if they were using the tax credits, we would have heard well before this year, because they wouldn't have been eligible anymore in 2024 or 2025, when they were moved from the.
It's a very small
It's
amount
like
of money.
$7
It's like
an acre,
$100 to
isn't it?
$200 total for like 100 acres. It's not like it's a whole lot.
It's like around $10
It
an
doesn't-
acre.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't,
Make or break.
it doesn't, it's not worth my time to fill out the paperwork generally.
So
Sometimes.
have you had conversations with him to know why he cares then?
Yes, I've had several conversations with him. And, I think his letter sums up, his position here. He prefers it to be in AX. And he has a level of comfort that AT will allow him to continue farming. His intention is to continue farming on the land.
Right, but that's why I wonder, why does he care so much if it stays, or if it goes back to AX? Or, yeah,
He
because
kind of had
it's,
some points in his letter that he just kind of sounded like he wanted to be AX and.
right, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering, why?
I
We're trying
I
to
think
balance
what, I
interests.
don't wanna put words in his mouth, but,
I don't know that we really need a why, the why is he wants to, it's.
yeah, I think he's saying why have different zoning in different parts of the land. There's two different zonings, and then he's pointing out, and I can go there too. He's also referencing the Stoneman property. The Stoneman property is in a similar situation. They have these partial of these 440s. They're also in the McGaw neighborhood plan. The north 240s are in McGaw. We did not pull them out of farmland preservation in 2023 because they had already indicated they wanted to continue to farm at the time.
We know their bottom two and the greenfield,
Yeah.
And their bottom two
so
is.
that's gonna be the same situation.
Yeah, so if you might recall, Brad came up with a solution.
Is that map in
You know
the
what?
packet?
I think I probably did.
I think it was too. Yeah, so this is our adopted farmland preservation plan map or area map. So what we did in working with the county and the state to come up with a solution that worked was we designated these two different farmland preservation areas. There's a medium term and a long term. So the areas that are in the neighborhood and plan areas or in the FUDAs are designated as medium term, 20 plus years, if they're in the FUDA area and not expected to develop for 20 years. And then we have all the areas that are outside of the FUDAs as the long term, 30 plus years as an expectation of when development could or won't happen on those, I guess.
So these two lots could go light green.
They could. It would be consistent with the way the rest of the neighborhood plans are treated. We also have precedent for keeping it as it is over here. We've got, the quarry parcels, that they're in the South Stoner Prairie area. There's no development proposed now, but they were removed, in anticipation of development, so it's.
Does AT exist for any reason other than this?
I think AT was put in place, yes, kind of that holding place for lands that were going to be developed, but then we have quite a bit of AT that are some kind of odd or leftover parcels farther out too. AT kind of just became a catch-all a little bit,
Non-conforming.
I think, over time. But essentially, you're right, it was created for that distinction. It was actually created not for this distinction, but the distinction between being in the tax credit program or not. And it's relatively recent that we even have AS. So lands that weren't eligible to be in the tax credit program for one reason or another, but over 35 acres got into the AT.
Any additional questions from the committee? Thoughts?
I have one question. How many acres do you think are in AT now? I mean,
That's a number we could probably get you, but not off the top of my head.
I was trying to think back of when AT was developed, when it started, but it just seems like it's always been a problem since it got established.
Yes. Yeah, confusing.
Pulled some GIS information recently. Was it that, or was it the amount in Oh, never mind. It was the amount in agricultural land use, not AT zoning. Never mind.
And we can get you a number.
Well, it's not urgent.
Okay.
Is there any other questions on this ordinance or thoughts, ideas? Okay, no, hearing none, seeing none, are we ready to vote?
Well, we need a motion.
A motion?
Somebody
Excuse
needs to
me.
make a motion.
Is anyone ready to make a motion?
I can move approval of ordinance 2026-0007.
We have a motion, we have a second.
So that is keeping Bowman, switching Bowman to AT.
AX from AT.
No, isn't the ordinance?
Right now,
Ordinance.
it's AT.
Right.
So
So
if
it's
you wanted to
keeping
put
it
them in,
AT.
we would need to amend, correct?
Yeah, you would
Yes.
have to, the ordinance will put them into AT and recognize that they're not in the farmland preservation map as shown here. So you would have to make a motion to amend the ordinance if you want to put the Bowman parcels back into A.
And that's what this is, right? The zoning ordinance amendment, approving rezoning properties to confirm the adopted property.
Yeah, this is
I would
the,
do this.
the zoning ordinance, the ordinance will do this. Exactly.
Okay,
Which
great,
is not what Bowman wants.
which is not what he wants.
Not what he wants, but is what Micah just made a motion for.
Okay.
I mean, I put it on the table. If you want to amend it, you can.
Yeah,
Motion
okay,
to amend.
so, should we take it back to the table and have some further discussion?
Well,
on
you can leave
this?
it. So technically, someone can second it, and then you would amend it from there. So
Okay.
seconding it doesn't mean you endorse it. It just means it is open to be
Okay.
amended.
Okay, do we have a second
I'll second it for discussion.
for discussion? Okay, and then would anyone like to make an amendment to this?
Well, I think we were gonna so,
Or continue discussing?
I think the question is, if it doesn't affect the city at all and a landowner requests it, is there a reason to go with that? But obviously the city thought it was purer to turn them to AT, but did you know that he had an intention to continue farming for
Like I
the long term?
Yeah, like I said, in 2023, this was done. There wasn't any opposition.
Yeah.
You all and Plan Commission and Council adopted the map. You adopted an update too last fall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Without those parcels in. And so, actually it was earlier this last year that Andy reached out to me just to start talking about those parcels.
This map was created 10/2 of 2025.
This new one.
This
This
that
one,
we're
yeah.
looking at.
This was that's when this was adopted.
Any other discussion on this? I think I'm prepared to make a motion if there is no more discussion. All right, I would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance 20260-07 to to switch the Bowman property back to the AX zoning per the landowner's request. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Probably should just do one more motion just for the overall
Okay,
ordinance.
We already did. We motioned the initial ordinance
Oh,
first.
that
so
right, you did,
so we
right?
just have to vote on the,
okay,
we just have to vote on the overall ordinance then.
okay, could we
Okay.
take all of those in favor of the original ordinance 20260-07 with the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes, thank you. We're going to move on now to agenda item 5B, which is ordinance 20260-08, amending chapter 22 of the Fitchburg Code of Ordinances by repealing and recreating chapter 22, article V, division 2, AX exclusive agricultural district sections 22-481-22-484 inclusive, repealing and recreating chapter 22, article V, division 4, AS small lot agricultural district section 22-540 conditional uses, and amending chapter 22, article V1II division 2 administration and enforcement section 22-651 definitions. I shouldn't have agreed to this meeting until I should have read that first. So all of that. Any questions on what that means? Deanna, could you help us clarify?
Yeah, sorry for the ordinance. The ordinance title is just going through each one of these larger sections. And it is kind of meaningless to most people, but it's just referring to the overall sections of the ordinance that we're updating. I don't know, you wanna have any comments and
Yeah, I'll
Summarize that.
This is also resuming from last meeting. This is the other side of working to get our AX zoning ordinance recertified by the state. I think we made most, if not all, of the changes that we discussed or refinements that we discussed at the last Ag and Rural meeting. I think there were some refinements to the fireworks and the open fires, just to simplify that. Just it said, okay, it needs fire department approval.
Right.
The change to the definition of so we had talked about the livestock definition with the animal units. We changed that to just livestock rather than listing out specific animals like we discussed last time. We did have the state, our state contact at the Department of Agriculture did a preliminary review of the ordinance and said it looked like it complied with the state statutes and the DACAP rules. So I think we're in pretty good shape with this. We did finalize the move for the farm residences to go for a new residence to go to a conditional use instead of a permitted use, so that'll have to come to planning commission for review.
And you?
Yeah, and Ag and Rural.
How did you, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but you eliminated the 50% income requirement? I thought when we looked at that last time, that was required by the state.
So that is, yeah, we clarified this with them. Their definition of a farm residence includes that, but because we are eliminating it, our ordinance is more restrictive than the state, which is allowed.
Okay.
So their definition allows it to be a parent or child, somebody who gets 50% or more of their income, or an owner or operator, and so we're removing that income one as an allowed.
Yeah, there was one of, you could be one of those three,
Yeah.
and we're removing one, the
Okay,
50%.
so it's more restricted.
Yeah.
I'm sad that Roger's not here, he would be happy.
That's less restrictive.
It's
That's less restrictive.
It's not. We're removing one of the categories of allowed residence.
And it was
farm
or.
residence.
It's those three or, either or.
Yeah.
It could be a parent or child, or
If the state lays out
50%.
3 requirements and we only lay out 2, that's less restrictive.
Yeah.
Theirs is more like
Or.
3 options,
Or,
and
yeah.
we're bringing it down to 2 options.
2 options.
Yes.
because
Can you
it's,
scroll to that section?
which one is that one?
That
It's
is,
listed a couple different times.
Yeah.
There's one.
if you go to page 19 of the packet, oh, it doesn't have
I don't have the
pages on
packet.
here. Okay. Page 3 to 10 of the.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Oh, sure.
so the operator or an individual who earns more than 50% of his or her gross income.
Yeah, so it was or. Do you see the or?
Yep.
And it was just in the definitions, in the state statute, and we're allowed, we just can't be more lenient in permitting or conditional uses, so.
Which of these changes are we doing because we are updating our certification, like the state is requiring them, and which are we doing because this is a good time to make the changes because we're updating ordinances?
Well, I mean, our ordinance
Is better.
was certified, so I think,
This is like a cleanup of other.
yes.
Okay.
We had not proposed recertifying it as is to the state, so we didn't have it reviewed that way. So, I mean, I don't think the statutes have changed, but interpretations could change. But essentially, all of these we're doing to clean up the ordinance and address issues that have been discussed here over the last several years. But we made sure that we were doing it in a way that complied with.
Okay.
Is this the same thing for ag small, like we talked about the last meeting, where there could be like an adjacent property for a caretaker?
So-
That's further down.
Yeah, that's a little bit further down, but it's in here.
I just wanted to make sure that was still
Yep.
there for various
Yeah.
reasons.
That's where,
Personal.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yep, so we've added an egg small, horse boarding, breeding, training, and other equestrian facilities, and then one caretaker's ranch, residence attached facility occupied by the operator of the facility.
This is starting to look really good, all of this.
Occupied only solely by the operator of the facilities and not by designated like
Farm manager.
farm manager.
That
Yeah,
is an
like-
operator. Right?
It's
So-
only gray.
Well, I mean, I
You own
guess-
the farm, you're the operator of the farm, but if you
We-
assign management of the stable to a caretaker, I wouldn't say that they're the operator of the farm. It could be argued, definitely, that they are.
I just have operator of the facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, and I guess maybe I could correct my thinking on that, but I don't think of AS as being a farm.
Go with that, yeah.
And and I guess it goes back to our original base farm system. The AS is kind of, it's a leftover kind of piece, and how a lot of those lands don't really fit any other place after the larger farms have been broken up. So I'm open, I mean, we're open for a suggestion about something that might work a little bit better in terms of terminology.
And this one's a bit simpler, just because it's not bound by the state.
This is not the state.
Would we be best to, if, just to clarify that, so we don't get in a situation where only Amy is allowed to live in the quarters that she builds in a employee? I mean, could we clarify, capitalize operator, and then clarify it in a definition as operator meaning owner or designated staff member? I don't want to necessarily say employee.
You're looking for the right words, like operator manager.
Just designated person by the manager or owner operator.
That gets a little bit too gray in that could be Shelley and have nothing to do with.
Oh, well, I'm here to say it's impossible for one person to do that by themselves. So you have to have some sort
Can I
of
just, could we just
consistent-
say occupied by an operator of the facility, AN instead of the?
Do you need that at all? If it's a caretaker residence, doesn't caretaker?
The
Isn't that the
intention,
point?
the intention is that it's the person helping with the horse
You're
boarding.
not correcting it.
The intention
Yeah,
here is
it's
not
not
just an accessory
B&B.
dwelling, yeah. It's not I did not have the intention that this was an accessory dwelling unit.
Definitely not a rental property.
Yeah, this
Something
was
you can
really
offer in
just meant
exchange for
to
help.
be someone who is working
Mhm.
at the horse boarding
I mean,
facility.
an operator seems,
I mean, I don't know what caretaker means then, but an operator.
And occupied by, sorry, I'm thinking out loud, not shooting down any ideas, but,
I could just take one residence, take off caretakers, maybe that's kind of
Just one
confusing, because
attached
there's
residence.
caretaker and operator attached to the facilities and occupied by
occupied by
or a staff member of the facility.
a party involved with operations of the
Yeah.
facilities.
Or affiliated member or
Does
something.
it have to be labeled as hired management?
I'd get away from that because the room and board might be the pay.
It is,
Yeah.
honestly, it's a kind of a,
The freeboarding of their own horse or five.
can you just reuse the word caretaker? Just say occupied by a caretaker.
yeah,
Yeah,
good
Yeah, we
idea.
could just redo that.
that's good.
Okay. Because it's kind of two different words. All right. I'm making a change. I'll have to make a note. So AS 5 and we will be replacing operator with caretaker so that it's consistent language.
Because with breeding, I mean, just to give a little, like, additional information for anyone who cares. Like with breeding horses, like when, in like that last month prior to foaling, you have to have eyes on them like 24/7. And so it's unrealistic for one person to, you know, be awake 24/7 constantly. You can rely on cameras and stuff, but you have to have someone available to respond, like a mare that's having trouble or complications. So this just makes a whole lot of sense to have this opportunity available. I love it. For many reasons, you know, whoever else is doing this in our community, hopefully others.
Well, a lot of horse boarding.
Oh, I guess I'm not thinking about that.
Well,
Good
it's
point.
about volunteer, their assistants.
Yes.
So I mean, because it's their animals and they just need a place for them.
Yeah. Thank you for taking interest in this.
Did you want to go kind of change by change, or can I just hop in?
Hop in.
Okay, so I just want to make clear that for the farm residences, we catch everything. So we have a second or I guess my question is, have we covered in all these different places we're talking about farm residences, if you have an existing that's being remodeled or added to, or do they have to meet, I guess, I was trying to remember what my thoughts were. Do they have to meet all of the A through D criteria that you have under new farm residents after the effective date and a second or subsequent? They all,
Yes.
they have those 4, but I'm not sure it's clear for the conversion of an existing single family to a farm, 2-family farm, or if they were remodeling it extensively, maybe adding on to an existing farm residence, if they have to meet the 4.
So usually, well, first of all, if they're just doing a remodeling,
Well, I mean, expanding probably.
and
they're
even
gonna
if they're
change
doing,
the-
even if they're
the
expanding,
footprint.
even if they're, that generally wouldn't even come to the level of zoning, even if they're
Okay,
changing the footprint around. If they're adding another dwelling unit, then it does, then it's a zoning issue. So, but here, is this into 2-family, are you saying that it should, the conversion of a single family into 2-family should should also have these criteria?
I'm
or-
not saying I have no policy input on that, I'm asking if that's the intent. That they have to follow those 4, because then maybe it should be clarified, because I don't think it's clear.
It's already defined as a single-family farm residence, so all of those A through D criteria are already met.
Or the
It's an
grandfather.
existing, so it will be grandfathered. And it, I
The
guess,
changing to 2-family wouldn't change.
right, because it's an
Okay.
existing single family.
There's just like 4 is basically like 1E for a different use, in a way. 1A through D are either met or grandfathered, and then the new criteria is that to go from a single family to a 2-family farm residence, the sole criteria is that both residences are occupied by an owner or operator of the farm who may be or a parent or child of an owner or operator of the farm.
Right, it's just the A through D I'm wondering, because 4 is not a subset of 1.
In a way it is, because it's all, you've met the criteria of existing single-family farm residence, which is defined in 1A through D.
Well, 1 is a new one.
Second. Or subsequent.
Oh, then we're not looking at the right section ultimately, what's
I
to
think-
establish a new one?
Here's the
Then
new
there's
one.
the same, yeah, there's
Yeah.
also, Yep.
A through D.
Is but that is the only
Same
residence.
criteria though, right? That's
it's the same
exactly the same.
criteria as adding a
Right.
second or
But that's a
subsequent
new
one,
one,
yeah.
so it's not the conversion, but I don't know that a converting to 2-family would. I mean,
Right.
if the existing meets it, then they're already meeting those 4, right? Those 4
That would be the
would
assumption.
apply to an existing one, right?
I mean, we would assume, otherwise it's
Okay.
grandfathered under the zoning.
Then the only other question I had was the, using barns and things to store. I know you said kind of the policy reason was to allow an extra little bit of income.
Mhm.
And, so that would be true to build a new barn for that purpose, but is it that?
You
That
are
just
not
seems
able to
inconsistent.
build a
Right,
new
and I'm
barn.
asking how you walked into that decision. You just don't want a new building going up on farmland that's not used for farm?
Yeah, well, then I think you're going into a different business.
Okay, so
That's
was-
a business decision,
that's
then you're
separate.
building,
But, well, it's still ancillary.
But not to
I
be
mean,
confused with, like, farm buildings are used for storage of the farmer's equipment.
right, and that's something,
So not to be confused with that, because, I mean, we have hay storage and like machine sheds, but I think they mean not to put up a new building to sell to customers to store 5 boats in a lot.
Right, yeah,
So,
I
so
understand that.
this is a tool in my mind in order to save our existing older buildings.
Okay, sure.
So here's a way to generate a little bit of extra income.
And keep the building in use, not falling down.
Is there a reason, I mean, I kind of agree with what you did, but I just wondered what the thinking was. Why, if it's only in existing buildings, you couldn't store a dealer's inventory? Like, if they wanted to pay someone to store their inventory over the winter, why would we not allow that?
I think the dealers, like a agricultural implement dealer, I believe, is in RD, or is that?
Yeah, it
So
would
that would
be.
be,
I think the intention was that this is seasonal kind of storage. And certainly if you're not comfortable, but the intention here was, that we're not gonna have Zimbrick running cars up and down and.
Oh, okay, so more of a, you don't want people going in and out.
Yeah, and
Okay, I was thinking,
that it becomes
okay,
an
yep.
active,
that totally makes sense.
then it becomes a different kind of site, a different kind of,
I was thinking more
use.
of a boat dealer that needs to like put their winterized boats away for the winter, which would be fine, but that
I
makes
don't
total
think
sense
that
from
would
a
be
Zimbrick
okay.
thing, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Right, is that what we're saying, is like,
I don't,
was that Camper Corral can't store their surplus stuff?
yeah, the intention
Long-term
was
storage.
not to facilitate another major business here. This was intended to be personal storage for
Here,
people.
we can be
and-
for storage.
Yeah.
And a way to generate some additional income on our older barns.
So only if it's an older one, not a new one to generate.
Older
We-
as of
We
whatever
wouldn't,
date goes in
we
those
wouldn't
brackets, right?
allow you to build a new building in order to.
I know that's what this says, I was just wondering what the thought process was
Yeah.
getting there, as to why you would not want that, but makes sense.
That,
then you could get like new store places being developed in the agricultural
Oh,
zone.
and we would,
Yeah, Yeah.
We would, yeah.
sure, yeah,
we would.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
that new, or existing, the structures that would be eligible in farm buildings that would be eligible would be any of those existing as of the date that this is enacted, right? So it's new, but it's eligible because
It was created
this
as a
is-
farm building.
So I lied, I did have one more thing. So on the definition of new farm residence, you said this includes replacements for existing farm residences. So I just wanna make sure we don't get into a private well issue, that we spent years on. So a grandfathered residence that has to be replaced is going to go through the new farm residence and those 4 criteria. And those 4 criteria are likely met by existing ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, just as it turns out,
Yeah,
They would be
because
not-
it's
okay.
already a developed section of the parcel,
They're pretty they're pretty compatible with adjacent farm operations. You're not in a wetland, floodplain drainage area, you shouldn't be building in those anyways.
Especially
Compatible
recently.
with woodland cover, there probably wouldn't be. Located on existing parcel of land with a minimum of 35 acres in size and frontage on a public road.
Okay. I just
So
wanna make
the-
sure we didn't have a private well issue here.
Oh,
I mean, not
always
private.
could be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean
Um,
literally, I mean, our experience with that.
Yeah, I think, the well issues were coming about, of course, when there was city water available, is where we had the challenge.
Yeah.
And I would assume that a new farm residence would have to connect in
Yeah, I didn't mean it
The
literally, I
home
meant
at
the,
least.
the policy issue of
Yeah.
what's grandfathered and.
Farm residents could have a well for the animals, right?
Yeah, that is not a problem.
If it was in that location. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Is there any other questions or discussions on this ordinance? I can't bear to read it again, so.
I guess I'll move approval of ordinance 2026-0-08. With what? Oh, with, that's
The
right, with the change, with the amendment to the horse breeding caretaker, so it will say one residence attached to the facilities and occupied by a caretaker?
Caretaker.
And operated by a caretaker.
Yeah, we could probably just take out caretaker there and just put
Yeah.
caretaker right here. That's probably the clearest way. Okay. All right, we've got Shelley with a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Now we move on to agenda item 6, report from the department. Back to Deanna.
Okay. Once these, I guess maybe we can just talk a little bit what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Just so that you guys know too.
Yep, so these will go to Plan Commission tonight, and then council, I assume next week. Next week go to council. If council approves them this way, then the next steps will be, we'll have to prepare an amendment to our farmland preservation plan map, and get that adopted before the county does their updates. Which I believe they usually request updates from us in September.
Something like that.
So we'll have
End of
to,
summer.
we'll have to get the changes to the farmland preservation area map done before that, and then we'll apply for, we have to wait until all of that is taken care of before the state can actually certify the zoning district. So we'll kind of prepare our application for the recertification with the state, have it ready to go, so that as soon as the county, I should maybe mention too, that the county board and one of their committees are the ones who ultimately decide on the amendments to the farmland preservation plan. So assuming they go with staff recommendation, the state would be able to then certify our ordinance after the county approves those amendments. Yeah.
And then we're moving along with the comprehensive plan and zoning code update. I think Brad and the team has made a selection on the preferred consultant, so we'll start moving through our contracting phase and hopefully bring a contract forward to Plan Commission and Council next month.
How many interviews did you
I was
do?
gonna just ask that.
We interviewed 4 pairs of consultants. We had 9 proposals for the comp plan and 8 for the zoning code. So we interviewed, we decided to interview, most of them had some sort of team up to submit for both. They may have had different lead consultants on the one, but, so we interviewed 4 teams that had comp plan and zoning code proposals. 4.
We were fortunate, we had
We got a lot of responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
We
impressive.
had,
actually.
it was actually very impressive,
Yeah.
the response that we got.
There were many proposals that I think we would have gotten a good product out of, so.
Any questions for me?
As a on that a little bit, on a municipality, are we required to go with low proposal?
Not for something like this, no.
They were pretty much all in the same ballpark.
They were, yeah.
They didn't vary too much. Once they know how much money you have to spend.
Yeah, we tell them the budget.
Yep.
That's the
Stay
one thing we do have to
within
do
the
is tell the
limits.
budget.
Yeah. All right, is that report
Yep,
complete?
we're good.
Okay, does anyone have any announcements? Nothing happening? Okay, I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion,
Second.
second. Motion passes. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
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 All those opposed? Anyone? Hearing none? We're adjourned.